God bless. This is Minister Hagar from Eagle Army Ministry, Prophetess Hagar. I'm still resting up. I'm feeling much better. Thanks to everyone out there who's been praying for me. I am still working on my upcoming videos and I am still resting. So doing much better and feeling much better. And I believe that things will be back on track here within the next day or two. However, this was so important that I felt like I had to and was pressed to come on here today and just do a short little message to you guys today regarding a dream that I had last night. And this is very important for some of you out there. So the dream that I had last night was that there was like this prepackaged bacon tight. It was like a bacon tight meat and it was prepackaged. And it's like it wasn't necessarily coming or attributed to one particular person or coming from one particular person. It's kind of like something that was being circulated around to where everyone was kind of like partaking in it and enjoying it and sharing it. And, you know, preparing to, like, some people were eating from it and preparing to eat from it. And at first, everything was fine because I had the understanding in the dream that the bacon was not pork. Now, keep in mind, this is just spiritual symbolism. You don't have to apply it to your real life and say, oh, we're not supposed to be eating pork. It's nothing like that. It's just a symbol. Because we do know in the Old Testament that pork was an unclean food, right? And so this is just using a symbol for unclean food. And we know that food represents the word or a spiritual message, things that we receive and ingest into our spirit. And so the bacon was not pork. It was some other type of variety of bacon. So on the surface, it seemed perfectly fine to eat. It wasn't pork. At first, it seemed like it was nothing wrong with the bacon or enjoying it and partaking of it and eating it. But then after a while, somehow I ended up taking a closer detailed look at the ingredients, even though it wasn't pork on the surface. When I went to go check the ingredients list, it had one ingredient that was an unclean food according to the Bible in it. And so what this is saying is that for the most part, all of the rest of the ingredients were perfectly fine, but it was just one bad apple in the bunch, one ingredient that was kind of mixed in with it, okay, that was unclean and that it was not suitable for us to eat and partake of and ingest, that it was unclean food. And pretty much when something is unclean food in your dream, that means you're receiving something or being fed something, or you're eating or partaking of something that's not of the Lord and it's not of the Holy Spirit, okay? It's not from the Spirit, so obviously it's going to be inaccurate, false. It's just coming from another source, whether that be the flesh, personal opinion, whether that be an ungodly spirit, whatever the case may be. The point is that it's not a good for you to partake in and receive. And so when I looked closer, examined the ingredients, I was like, we can't eat that. I was like, no, we can't eat that. And so it's like I was taking the bacon that was being circulated around and everybody was like partaking of, and I took it and I threw it out and I threw it away. And so I'm going to quickly share with you the importance of this dream. What this is saying is that the Lord is giving us a warning because he wants the best for us. He doesn't want us to get confused, right? So right now we have a lot of messengers out there. We have a lot of voices out there. We have a lot of videos out there. We have a lot going on, right? And not all of those things are good for our consumption, guys. Not all of those messages are from the Lord and from the Spirit or through a responsible, accurate, Holy Spirit mouthpiece, whether they be a prophet or just a believer. You can still be just an everyday believer who is Holy Spirit filled and have a true, accurate message from the Lord. that the Lord is sending through to the people. But whatever the case may be, what he's saying is we got to tighten up. It's his recommendation that we need to tighten our ship up. Don't just be out there consuming any and everything because you're so anxious, and you're getting so excited for the wealth transfer, which is normal for you to feel that way. And it's normal for you to want to stay encouraged every day, so you don't begin to feel, doubtful and hopeless and stuff like that. It's good that you want to stay encouraged every day, but you can't get desperate to the point where you start eating and listening to any and everything that's out there and any person and every person that's out there, even if it may sound like what they're saying is in alignment with what God is saying, because that's kind of how the bacon was. It was like on the surface, it was nothing wrong with it outright. Like it wasn't pork. The main ingredient was not unclean. It was okay, or so it seemed on the surface. So it's going to be a lot of things out there and a lot of people out there that seem like, oh, this is right in line with what all the prophets are saying. It sounds the same and it looks the same on the surface, but in the ingredients, the devil in the details, when you take a closer look and a closer listen, there are all these unclean additives and ingredients in the messages and food that are not from the Lord and that are not good for us, okay? And are not good for us to consume that. Now, what would that look like in, layman's terms or everyday reality? Well, one main thing that I think is happening is that the Lord wants us to be careful. The Lord is saying, return. If you have your people that you trust, you believe are truly anointed and filled with the Spirit, have good track records, are from the Lord, you have experience with, and it's not like the person has to be perfect. It's just that there has to be a certain guideline. So kind of tighten things back up, guys, and just stick with the people that you have known, the people that you have trusted, the people that have not necessarily steered you wrong is what I'm saying. Don't get all the way out there with all these like opinions and all these different avenues of trying to search for information and calculate information. There's a Holy Spirit way of doing that. Okay. And I share a lot of that stuff in my videos with you guys to show you how the Spirit works. And from what you can see in my videos, when it's the Spirit doing it, it's not something that I don't have to pull out a chart and, well, this number means that day and this means, like, it's not something that I generate. As you can see, it manifests and it comes on its own to me. And all these different avenues that I don't have control over. I don't control what's going to pop up and happen in the news, what animal is going to do this tomorrow or 3 days from now. But it all, illustrates what the Lord is saying, because he does that to show you that it's not something that's in my hands or of my control. It's not something that I put together or make happen. Okay. It's only things that he can arrange. Even like when you guys always point out to me, oh, look what time it was, or it was a Holy Spirit number. Like, I don't control time. I don't control all these things. So it's a discernment between what people are seeking to see and make happen in their flesh, as far as how they calculate information and, put messages out there. Oh, I think this is going to happen on this day because I looked at this chart and I did this and I did that. It almost kind of seems the same. It's very similar, but we have to discern between when it's done by the Spirit and from the Lord and when it's being done out of the flesh or other spirits. And the reason why he's saying that is because he doesn't want you guys to get hurt. If you start listening to all these different voices of every single person out there just because they say, oh, this is a wealth transfer message, or like they even may have things that, like, for instance, a lot of the prophets have brought up the number 17. That is genuinely a Holy Spirit number from the Lord. But just because they are also talking about 17, oh, and that must mean it's September 17th or October 7th. Like, do you remember in the New Testament where it was that witch lady? She was following the apostles and she was pretending to be like them. She had the same message. She was like co-signing everything they were saying and doing, and like pumping them up and saying, yeah, everybody listen to the apostles. But she wasn't one of the apostles. She was just blending in, and her message was blending in and sounding the same, but she wasn't really from the Lord. Okay. There's a lot of things out there like that are kind of blending in and sounding the same and hopping on the Holy Spirit bandwagon, and it's being done out of the flesh or other sources. And when you start following every voice out there, they're going to be given all this inaccurate information that you guys are going to be getting your hopes up on, and oh, this person said this may happen Saturday, or that may happen on this date or that date. Guys, any true prophet is very careful in how they speak, and even immature prophets. But what I'm trying to say is that stick with the sources that try their best to be a little bit more responsible in how they say things and what they deliver. If you follow my channel, you know that's something I try my best to pride on, of not giving exact dates, not putting out my personal opinion, not getting people's hopes up, and then it's something that doesn't come to pass. I had to be taught and trained to operate responsibly in that way. And there are many other responsible voices and prophets and messengers out there. So guys, try to stick with those dependable, responsible people, and don't just follow everything out there, because you're going to get a lot of bad information and wrong information mixed in with God's true information, and you're going to get confused, you're going to get discouraged, you're going to get lost, and you're going to get your hopes up on a lot of things that are not going to happen. And then the enemy will use that to try and get your hopes down and get you discouraged and get you sad and feeling bad and start questioning the whole thing and saying, oh, well, maybe this whole thing is false, or maybe we were just, buying into something that's not real. So the Lord cares for you guys, and he doesn't want you to be sad. He doesn't want you to be discouraged, lost, or confused. And so that's why I knew I had to get on here, just to give you guys that heads up and that warning, because he did give me that dream, to let's just rein things in a bit, tighten up your ship, be careful who you're listening to, who you're entertaining. And, people have their opinions, which is fine, but we can't, what he's saying is that it's getting mixed. Personal fleshly opinion is getting mixed in with the word of the Holy Spirit and the actual prophecies. And so when things get mixed, it's like you begin to think it's all one thing, and it's hard to distinguish between, wait, what did God actually say? So every voice out there is not sent from the Lord. Begin to discern, be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful. And even from genuine prophets, guys, when it comes to us, make sure that you're paying attention to what we actually say. Just like you would read the Bible carefully, word for what it's saying. Don't just, rush across what we say, take it and run 30 miles down the road in excitement. And then when people don't listen to what we actually said carefully, then they have a wrong interpretation of what we said. And such and such said this, and they said this. So even with trustworthy voices, guys, try to slow down and listen to what we actually say versus what you thought we said or you remembered us saying. And then people pass on inaccurate, version sometimes of what prophets say, and then that mixes the pot up with all this inaccurate information, and then people then reflect that back to the prophet or the message or what God is doing or saying. So I just think that this is a general message to let's just be more mindful, a little bit more careful, slow down a little bit, pay a little bit more attention. That way you don't get confused and get your hopes up high, or just get off track with thinking one thing, that's not really accurate or true. And at the end of the day, the Lord just didn't want you guys to get discouraged. And so that's why I wanted to come share this with you. Okay, guys, I hope this message helps a lot of you out there, resets us all back on track because, guys, we have so much good news and good things happening. We don't need all the false additives and false, pump ups of all the man made things. We don't need that stuff because the Lord is already working and moving, and everything is on track, exactly where it should be. So you don't have to worry, you don't have to stress out. And that is why I had been very anxious to get back my videos going. That's one of the main purposes of the type of ministry like mine, is so I can illustrate what God is doing before our eyes so we can see it and understand it, and know exactly where we are, where things are going, what the Lord is saying, and kind of have like a guidance through the situation. And so God bless you guys. Hopefully I will be back, like I said, within the next day or two with those updates and we can get back on track, because trust me, guys, take my word for it. And I wouldn't just be saying this to pump you up or make you feel better. Things are so on track and ramped up. We're getting so close. Guys, we don't need all that fake pump and fake excitement and guesstimations and estimations. We don't need that crap. We really don't. Also, guys, I wanted to add this, that, and this is just from where my understanding is as of now. I don't think that this message was really speaking to a lot of the people that the Lord has already had on the scene and who have been, giving messages about wealth transfer for a while now, whether it's months or the last couple years. I don't think that this is regarding those, we have a lot of prominent faces and voices where, Maria Conwell and, all these different people who have been used as very prominent or vocal mouthpieces for the wealth transfer. So I don't believe that it's necessarily, the same old people that have always been a part of the picture and have always been a voice. I don't think that, because he chose all the way until now, yesterday, to give me this warning. So I think that this is more about new people and new, messages and videos that are now hopping on the bandwagon and mixing into the crowd with us, okay? And that's not to say every newer person is not from the Lord. It's just, I just wanted to clarify that I don't want you guys to go all the way back, into the past and start sifting through, and is this person right and true and false? Because I just the fact that he waited all the way until now to give me the warning, from my experience, from what I understand, he's suggesting the warning, the threat is fairly new and recent. So these are new people, that are kind of mixing into the crowd and talking and getting out there, and new things being shared that are kind of more recent. So I did want to add that. I also wanted to add that this is one of the main reasons why my videos are lengthier than a lot of others, where you just get a few minutes or a clip, or they'll just tell you this, and that, this will be that, and that will happen. I have a little bit different of a ministry and responsibility, and where I have to elaborate on things and kind of bring more clarity to the situation and more understanding, so we're not just being told, being told this will happen, that will happen, this will happen. It's like I'm called to fill in a lot of the blanks, and to fill in a whole bigger picture and give a lot more insight and understanding and direction, or just whatever the Lord wants to add onto that picture to kind of, give us a deeper level of understanding about a situation. And so this is a perfect example where you have all these voices just popping out there and saying keywords, wealth transfer, and saying key numbers and blending in and mimicking, the body and the true messengers. And what I said before about how you have to speak responsibly and what you say, how you present a message. Make sure that you're being as accurate as possible. You're not adding to it. And so all of those careful details is a lot of the reasons why my videos are much longer, because I have to take out the time to be at a more responsible, mature level, because I've been taught and trained, and I've learned, and I've made all those mistakes, and I've been trained up in a way to be more responsible and to be a little bit more in depth and make sure that I'm very clear in how I explain things and what I say and what I explain to everybody. And so if you're ever wondering why my videos are so long-winded, that is the main reason why. That's what I'm called to do, be a lot more transparent, a lot more detailed, and a lot more careful to kind of take what's being said out there and kind of bring it in, tighten it up, and keep it kind of structured for us so we don't just get way out there, with everything. And so that is why, if you ever wondered, guys, it's not just because I have a big mouth, which I do. That is just what I'm called to lend to the body. That's not for everybody. There are a lot of people out there, they're just called to just give you the A, B, C, and D and go have lunch. I just have a different office and a different function, and everything has its purpose. So I also wanted to share that with you guys. And so God bless you guys. I love you guys, and I will catch up with you, Lord's willing, in my next video. Bye.